Now, here are three things you need to know right now. Tesla going against the grain as usual. The company saying in its second quarter earnings call, it's expecting a record-breaking second half of the year. This, as many companies are slicing forecasts and guidance. CEO Elon Musk even went as far to say he thinks inflation will start to ease towards the end of the year. And guys, a pretty good quarter for Tesla, all things being considered. Another automaker, another big, large company battling very high levels of inflation. Here's Tesla coming out here with an earnings beat and operating profit margins up year over year. And I would say a very upbeat earnings call from Elon Musk, surprisingly upbeat.
Yeah, I guess you could argue it was upbeat. I mean, he also, though, talked about, what did he call it, supply chain hell that the company has been in, right? And if you look at the automotive gross margins, which I know was an area of focus for some analysts, those have been sliding here. 27.9% is where they came in. The estimate, though, was for 26.8%. So it was still better than estimated with those automotive gross margins. And as you can see, revenue and earnings per share came in better than estimated. And most of the analyst commentary I've seen says margins here have been coming down, but should improve going into the latter part of the year.
Just the fact that Elon Musk was actually on the call. Let's remember that he had said he was not going to attend, or at least attend less, of the earnings calls for every single quarter. And so his presence, number one, just means that there's still more of a reassurance effort that Tesla is trying to put forward at this point in time, where they're ramping up at the new factories. He talked about Fremont and some of the milestones there at their legacy factory and operations. But it really comes back to Berlin, some of the capacity that they're continuing to bring online in Austin as well. And within that, it's going to come down to battery production. For the entire electric vehicle landscape, who has the battery the best figured out is really going to be that competitive advantage, as well as being able to replicate that experience over and over again. That's something that they discussed on the call. Lithium, one of the core components that's going to be necessary for moving those ambitions forward.
I know we're getting the earnings beat. You're seeing Tesla shares, top ticker on the Yahoo Finance platform, stock rising in the pre-market. But Brad, this is right in your wheelhouse. They sold their Bitcoin, and they talked about this on the call last night. They did it to raise liquidity, perhaps ahead of a economic downturn. Normally, that is a massive red flag when a company like a Tesla comes out and says something like that.
Yeah, just to put some numbers on that, they had sold 75% of its Bitcoin holdings during the quarter. BTC USD this morning is down by about 1.8%. You're also seeing some of the other major cryptocurrencies decline as well. They had been on a little bit of a run over the past several days, though. Let's put this in context. But they sold the coins for a total of $963 million there, and then the remaining value of those assets that they have digitally, at least right now, $218 million, but just needing the cash, needing to liquidate something to navigate this period.
He even said explicitly this should not be taken as some kind of verdict on Bitcoin. It's not a shock necessarily that they sold it. I think there was some speculation within the crypto market that he had done that, but nonetheless, it is interesting to get these details on it. And it's also, do we take them at their word that it was just in order to raise that cash because of Shanghai shutdowns? On a macro level as well, when he's talking about the latter half of the year, he talked about inflation. And this is something you picked up on, Soz, and you wrote about. He commented on the call. He really couched it.
Yes.
But let's listen to what he said on the call about inflation.
If I were to guess, and I wouldn't, take this with a grain of salt, I think inflation will decline towards the end of this year. We're certainly seeing prices of commodities trending lower, but take it with a grain of salt. This is making economic prognostication is fraught with error.
I like that last part. Economic prognostication is fraught with error, which we know very well here. But so take it with a grain of salt. But he said he does think that we're going to see a little bit of improvement.
Elon Musk making his pitch to join the Morgan Stanley econ team. Good for him. Very, very interesting take. Also noted that the Cybertruck will finally, possibly go into production in the middle of 2023. I'm sure the Tesla bulls like to hear that. But by and large, my takeaway is this. I would like to see a little more caution expressed in the outlook. And this company's still looking for, I believe, a 50% increase in deliveries later this year. If anything, Musk and his team have now set expectations very high at the same time the economy is slowing.
And if there's one thing that within that, looking through the actual results that are coming forward and how much a slowing economy might actually impact the types of vehicles that are bought, as we know it's largely the Model 3 and the Model Y that are being produced and delivered right now. So that's still going to be the model. But how many consumers, even in some economic tightening, are going to opt lower, perhaps, for one of the packages that is more affordable and thus impacting the profitability, which you pointed out in this most recent quarter, on a longer term period of time? And one of the points within that you could look at is the number of people that are opting into full self-driving as well. They're going to be raising the prices on that. And so if you see more of their customers, either current customers or future customers, opting for a lower package, that's something that could put a little bit of a squeeze on the margins.
And just to be clear, they don't have full self-driving.
Not full self-driving.
It does not exist.
Right.
As of yet.
They
might call it autopilot,
right,
but it ain't autopilot.
Exactly.
You still have to pay attention, as we have seen from accidents that federal authorities have been investigating. So I'm always curious how that is actually going to play out.